Musicfest, the Union County Arts Center was appropriated a few more hundreds of thousands of dollars. I asked several times what George Devaney's involvement with the Union County Arts Center is. I wasn't given an answer. He had recused himself from all decisions with the Union County Arts Center about 3 weeks before he retired, and I was wondering why. I asked why. No one answered me. I even, the memo was sent to the freeholder chair, and I left a copy with the clerk so she could maybe remind herself why, and I'll ask again next time. I want to know, and I'm going to keep asking. I'm also going to keep asking for an apology. They have never apologized for the disrespect they showed the public, not only in 2010, but for years and years and years. They never apologized for holding their county employees responsible. In fact, George Devaney is still involved with Musicfest, and I asked how he was getting paid, through what vendor, and they did not answer.
Point being made, I'd like to make a point here, is that the Union County Watchdog Association has been saying for years and years and years, something stinks in Denmark. The prosecutor's office just last month bore us out with a finding of 10 different points of what the county was doing wrong. Money is missing and not accounted for. George Devaney had to resign, most likely, over this.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
We don't know. He got to leave on good terms. He wasn't reprimanded at all.
All right, I'll give you that. But he's no longer sitting there, all right? And I do believe we're owed that apology.
We are. Not only us, the entire public. The entire public.
We proved what we were saying all along through the process.
And we put so much hundreds of hours of work into what they wouldn't lift a finger to do, and they get paid $30,000 a year for their part-time positions. We spent hundreds of hours, went to numerous freeholder meetings and asked and asked and asked. There's been no transparency, no accountability, just harassment from Devaney, from other freeholders.
Not an apology. We don't need an apology. A thank you would have sufficed.
Yeah, for enlightening them.
Right.
Yeah.
To bringing it to their attention
Right.
that the county manager is afraid to walk to an event with money.
And they're so...
With the whole police force, sheriff's officers, corrections officers,
and his personal chauffeur. He has a cop chauffeur that takes him to parties and stuff, but he can't have him take him to the bank. Come on.
Come on.
Come on. Somebody like me, I know what happened. I know the Union County prosecutor is so nefarious that he even was involved in this. He should have recused himself. He should have, at the very least, said, let's give this to another county. The findings, no matter what I do, it's just going to look dirty, and it does. It looks filthy dirty, and I want an apology. Not only from them, I want an apology from the State's Attorney General's office for allowing the Union County prosecutor to police his friends. He was, according to accounts I've heard from two separate people, the Union County prosecutor and his first assistant were at George Devaney's retirement party the other night. This is just 3 weeks after he releases the report that really doesn't hold George Devaney responsible for anything. And he's at his retirement party, him and his first assistant. How cozy is that? That's crazy. This is New Jersey legend. This is so New Jerseyville. So yeah, I want an apology because, you know, I'm not ignorant. I'm not ignorant. I know what's going on. I know what went down. You know who else isn't ignorant? 3,000 county employees. They know that they would never get away with that. They know that. And you know they know that. Everyone that was at that retirement party, county employees, county vendors, looked around and said, wow, I better keep my mouth shut. No matter what I'm asked to do, no matter what illegalities I see, I better keep my mouth shut because there's no law and order here. And that's what you did. And you go on and on about 9/11, but no one has harmed our democracy more than you have. No terrorist could ever hope to hurt us as much as you have with this behavior. For what? For a little bit of money. You're such low lives. You're such low. You're not even like successful. Like you're just low lives. For a little bit of money, you do this to your own society, to democracy, to America. I have such disdain for you. Such disdain. And if you want to take credit for the cleanup efforts, you know, you went on and on about that tonight, and rightfully so, not for your sake, but for the county employees that were out there actually doing the work, not for you. If you want to take credit for that, then you've got to take credit for George Devaney. Because it's not just Musicfest 2010, it's 2009, 2008, all the Musicfest. God only knows what else. What else? Kemper Sports, who knows what's going on with those golf courses? It goes on and on. Not one of you has called for a complete investigation of prior Musicfest. If it's overwhelming, which I can understand because it was overwhelming for me to do in my spare time, you can easily ask for the state controller to come in and help you. I'm sure Matt Boxer would be happy to do that. And you should be calling for a complete investigation of everything George Devaney touched through the years. But no, sweep it under the rug, have the prosecutor go to his retirement party, because there's nothing wrong there, and you keep bragging. It was in their press release how the prosecutor found no criminal wrongdoing, and even the freeholder chairwoman tonight said, oh, the prosecutor found no wrong. They're so proud of that. Meanwhile, the prosecutor probably goes through all like your weddings and christening. Like, who's impressed by that? It's like me investigating Bruce.
No, I think you'd probably find something there.
What?
They're lying up there. And it's in the prosecutor's report that they're lying.
And they're still lying.
And they're still lying.
And the prosecutor knows it.
Right. And they're doing nothing about it.
So he's going to do nothing about it.
And could it be that some people are connected? Maybe.
And, you know, they back in, here's the executive session minutes of February 17th, 2011. I have brought this up, and they, you know, through, I believe it was a reporter, went back and forth with them, and they insisted that it was the state that reappointed the prosecutor. He had hit mandatory retirement age. And they said they passed a resolution only because it was a laudatory thing. Well, here's their executive session minutes, and I'm going to read it. Mr. Romanko is requesting that the board approve a resolution continuing his service as Union County prosecutor beyond the age of 70. County Council will check when his birthday is, and a resolution approving same may appear on the February 24th meeting agenda if it cannot wait until March. And I'm pretty sure it was on February that day. So this is what they discussed in executive session minutes, and they're saying no, they had nothing to do with it. It was only laudatory. He never, you know, had anything to do with the freeholders reappointing him. So they reappoint him, and then he goes on to investigate them. How is that?
Yeah.
How is this okay? I mean, how do I get that deal? I want to run. Can you imagine the organized crime enterprise you can run when you control the prosecutor, when you never have to worry about really getting in trouble? And maybe there'll be enough pressure put on through the media and through citizens eventually that he'll have to come up with something, but this is what he comes up with, and they're still defending Musicfest. The Star Ledger even called in their editorial that Musicfest be done away with. It should. It's really not a service of government. It's a self-serving thing for politicians. It's not a service of government. We don't belong doing this. People are going hungry and homeless. They don't want Musicfest. And the people you're entertaining at Musicfest, those aren't the people that are suffering the most. There are people that are hungry and homeless, you know, that have no interest in going to see Blondie. None at all. It's just not their taste. I don't even think you're advertising for them to show up. So anyway, and here's how crazy I am. George Devaney is retired. On Tuesday, September 13th, every county employee, Union County employee announcements, got this email. It's a color picture of George Devaney. And I can't hold it up and read it at the same time.
Go ahead, read it.
They should have put it in the Union County direction. Why did they do that? They were so proud of it. Everyone in the county could have went to his party. But here it is, information on retirement party for George Devaney. The Liberty House restaurant, $125 per person, includes dinner, entertainment, whatever. Then it has a phone number, and I called it, and it's his wife, Angie Devaney's number. Her voicemail picked up. And it's again, the prosecutor said they shouldn't be supporting any one charity, and this is the charity George Devaney had cash all over the place for and was afraid to go to the bank with, so he just left it in a county safe, and you know, the finance director never checked the county safe. He retired too, by the way. So here it is. This is a fundraiser for Love Hope Strength Foundation. A small nominal portion of this was going to be given. I was told that there was a separate boat ride before the party began that night. It was for $500 a person if you wanted to take a boat ride with Devaney. I wonder if there's any cement on that boat. Anyway, it says, "Don't worry, be happy." His shirt, and it's Love Hope Strength Foundation, and
email to everybody.
I said that. It was emailed to all county employees. Went to a county employee list. So this person who's retired and no longer a county employee, who kind of left, should have left in shame, he emailed everyone. So here you are. I guess that's how the prosecutor went. He must have gotten the email. Because here you are. You're the prosecutor. You just filed your report. Sit there in the morning drinking your coffee. Read your email. Oh, George, Love Hope Strength Foundation. Where have I heard of that organization before? Let me think about that.
They also strong-armed the vendors for tickets, to sell tickets.
I don't know. But anyway, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. Me, the citizen, asking for accountability, asking for law and order. I'm crazy.
Transparency.
Well, you know what? So were our forefathers. They were way crazier than I was. And I'm right there with them. Call me crazy any day. Crazy's better than stupid.
Or corrupt, anyway.
And corrupt, yes. And I was also calling them corrupt. I got that in a couple of times.
Yeah.
Would you call stupid?
So, Scanlon, stupid to call me crazy. I'm asking you. I don't mind you. You know what? You know what? I am crazy. I am crazy to put all this time into this, and when I know there's no law and order. I know that, and I've proven it. And quite frankly, I really didn't mind the way this Musicfest investigation turned out, because it's not just about Musicfest. It's about a problem at the root of New Jersey that needs to be changed. And we have a governor that should be able to do that, should be willing to do that, and that is my goal. Local county prosecutors do not belong involved with investigating local county governments. Local governments. They're all colleagues, they're all in the same circle. You don't get to become a prosecutor unless you're in the same circle. These aren't outsiders, they're not independents. At the very least, they should have to send it to another county, and it'll probably be another friendly county, but it just slows them down a little bit, makes it a little bit more difficult. You know, Daniel Sullivan has at least one relative that works in the prosecutor's office. Daniel Sullivan's niece was involved with Musicfest. It's dirty. It's just dirty. And as much as you want to pretend that everything's okay, and let me put my head on my pillow and not worry about my government, no, I'm crazy enough to worry about it. I'm crazy enough to worry about it. There's something very wrong, and it needs to be fixed. And it's not just Union County. It's a basic thing of ethics, I guess. It's ethics. These county prosecutors are unethical. At the very least, it was unethical what the Union County prosecutor did. Then he goes to George Devaney's party and thumbs his nose at all of society, and they pretend nothing's wrong, and people like me are crazy. Well, give me 12 more crazy people like me. I think we could get this thing done.
I'd like to speak to some of the craziness that went on there this evening. There was a resolution number 2011-808 where the Union County Performing Arts Center was allocated an amount not to exceed $345,000 for activities associated with the 2011 Musicfest. We asked 3 times this evening, at least by my count, what those activities associated might mean or be in the way of finances, in numbers. And we were told that they do not have that information. Musicfest started last night, and they still don't know what that $345,000 is being requested for to be spent on.
They did give you an answer, though.
And that was?
They actually did answer it in such great terms. They just said acquisition of artists and production costs.
Well, you accept that as an answer.
Well, that was their answer.
And who's involved there? What vendors? How is keyword strategy?
My answer to that is, as a child, I could not ask my mom or my dad for $1 without them asking me, what do you need the money for? And that's all we were asking. What does Union County Performing Arts Center need the money for?
1 day ahead of time.
1 day ahead of time, and they could not tell us.
$325,000. We're not talking about $50. It's incredulous. And the prosecutor, in his report, he recommended you resolve these issues of mismanagement and be more transparent while avoiding any appearance of misappropriation. They totally failed to do that tonight. They should have been prepared. They knew we were going to come. They knew this resolution was on the agenda. They knew we'd be there asking questions. They just don't care to answer them because they don't have to. When you don't have law and order to answer to, you can do whatever you want. You can call people crazy. You want to know what we're doing? Are you crazy? Yeah, I'm crazy. And I ain't getting better.
By the way, Bibby Taylor, when I was going to go down the elevator, she actually pulled me aside and wanted to talk to me about that.
While Jim was waiting downstairs?
While Jim was waiting downstairs. Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, like, you know, people want to talk to me. Bibby Taylor, surprisingly, as bad.
Well, did she answer it?
She answered in her way. She pointed out that it's a not to exceed.
Well,
which means that they don't have to necessarily spend that money. And then I said, well, what about the $115,000 that was sitting parked at Union County Performing Arts Center? And she goes, well, that's part of the expenditures if they need it in the part of the not to exceed. And I said, yeah, but that money by resolution was given to them last year. And she said she wouldn't know that because she just started this year.
No, that's inexcusable.
I know, that was it. But she tried to explain
you know,
it to me.
I knew, Tina knows, John knows. The director of finance doesn't know?
And she's sitting in a trailer?
Shame on her.
And then I asked her, I said, did you look for all this $1 million? Do you know where it is in the budget? I said, it's all over the budget. She goes, well, I just started, Why
do you think that somebody with experience?
I said, it's all over the budget. I think you should really look into it and try to track the cost.
Was that the main complaint when she was named finance director? She didn't really have the experience to do it.
Well, that was my complaint. But I mean, she actually did want to reach out to me and explain it, but it was a very tepid explanation. It didn't.
You can see whatever records we managed to drag out of them. It was incredible. They were like handwritten receipts, and I could understand why someone like Bibby Taylor is really stepping into a huge mess. And quite frankly, the last finance director, he retired. He should have at least been named in the report. He was negligent. There were so many negligent people that skated. Their names weren't mentioned in the report at all.
Barry.
The prosecutor really went to great lengths to protect people. He really did, and it's a disgrace.
Who drafted those contracts?
And look at the results of this. Look at the results of this. They're still being insubordinate. They're still being disrespectful to residents. It's still going on. It's not going to end. It's not going to end. And it's a core problem that needs to be fixed in the state of New Jersey. These prosecutors need to smack down. They have way too much power, way too much discretion over themselves.
And not enough intelligence.
Whatever. They shouldn't be allowed to do this. And I have to look into it. I made one phone call. I should have been more diligent today. I was a little busy. But I don't believe town prosecutors are allowed to do that. They have rules or some sort of code that they have to follow. They would never be allowed to prosecute their friends the way Roman Cal did. Why are county prosecutors held to a different standard than the town prosecutors? They would have to send it to another town if something came across their desk that they were uncomfortable, like the Mirabella deal.
It went up to the prosecutor's department, by the way, and they turned it down.
No, he had to send that to Westfield. Garwood sent it to Westfield. Garwood did not keep that within its jurisdiction because it involved an employee of Garwood. They did not keep it in their jurisdiction. They had to send it to another town, and this is what happens. Why does county employees get involved in these investigations? And it's not just Musicfest. The fact that the prosecutor put 19 investigators on a woman.
You stalked Brian, drove down to the car, Brian's car.
Used all those resources, and that happened how many years ago, and now this is happening today, and what's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, taking this a little bit further, we had to have the prosecutor investigate Musicfest just to get the numbers. Maybe it's time that an outside auditor review the county's books, which has not happened in
Matt Foxer.
I don't know how many years.
The county should be calling for it.
Yeah.
The county should be calling. If they were sincere, if they weren't corrupt, they would be calling on the state controller's office to help them straighten out this mess and restore confidence
Does
in
the
them.
problem go further?
Of course it does.
They're audited.
There's a standard yearly audit.
But it's late again this year. It's supposed to be out by June 30th. It's not on the
It's
website.
just a standard audit.
It was out December.
Yeah, that's another
Clooney,
problem.
which has their problems with Summit, and they in their report they say, well, this isn't DAP standards, or
but that's basic.
They're not looking at music. They're not looking at intricate stuff.
They're not looking in the safe in the finance department's office either. There's
no receipt for $15,000. Supposedly it was $15,000. Yeah, we're supposed to believe that too. They throw these numbers out there with no receipts, and we're supposed to believe what they're telling us. Why? Because you're the Union County prosecutor, and you go to George Devaney's retirement party, and you're friends with everybody, and we're supposed to believe what you said. Tina Rana Cranford, 2011-808. You're amending Resolution 2010-1149 to increase funding for the contract between the County of Union and the Union County Performing Arts Center in the amount not to exceed $345,000 for activities associated with the 2011 Musicfest. I would like more detail on that. And at the last meeting I had asked you freeholder chairwoman, here's a memo I obtained through the Open Public Records Act. It's addressed to Elizabeth Genovich, the Deputy County Manager, who I haven't seen at this meeting or last, but you were CC'd on it, as was County Council, Sharja Bardre, and the Director of Open Space. And it's from George Devaney, who retired on August 1st and is said to still be involved with running Musicfest, despite being named in the prosecutor's report for mishandling it, mismanaging it. He's still somehow involved with Musicfest. So I'll stay relevant to this resolution and come back to that later, because I want an answer, and I'll keep coming here and asking for it. I want to know what this memo was referring to. It states, in order to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest in matters pertaining to the following companies and/or projects, Union County Performing Arts Center, I am delegating the responsibility and authority in the handling of any such matters to you. Please ensure that I am screened from any such information or communication on such matters. Now, this was written July 7th, and he resigns effective August 1st. So it deserves a reinvestigation of the Musicfest money, is what it deserves. But it certainly deserves an answer from you, freeholder chair. It was addressed to you. And the last time I asked about it, I don't believe you got the memo. The way you reacted, I don't think you even knew what I was talking about. So this is, do you want me to hand it to you so you can refresh your memory? Thank you. No answer? Why did George Devaney recuse himself from the Union County Arts Center? You're giving the Union County Arts Center more money. The last county manager recused himself from any involvement with that organization. He's still running Musicfest. It is certainly involved with this $345,000. Is George Devaney making dime one from the Union County Arts Center, which he recused himself from? Yes or no?
Is that the question? Because that wasn't the question you asked originally.
That's the question. I want to know what George Devaney's involvement with is in Musicfest and the Union County Arts Center, and why he recused himself from the Union County Arts Center. He's still working on Musicfest. He's been spotted all over the place. How is he getting paid? Who's paying him? How are we paying him through this back door somehow? And if we're not, if he's volunteering, I'd like some sort of answer. I think the prosecutor should be standing here asking you this question, not me. It's not my job. This is the job of law enforcement, of government, not of citizens. Thank you.
Do you want me to address the first question relative to the $345,000? With reference to the $345,000 allocation to UPAC, what that is actually part of the county's corrective action plan in response to the Musicfest report, and actually in accord with the county manager's position relative to full disclosure, we thought it was appropriate to identify any funds that were going to the Union County Performing Arts Center and have that accounted for and reflect that amount. What that amount reflects is the $100,000 that was in fact awarded to the Performing Arts Center. We now have a number that we anticipated a donation from the Barclays for the tournament that occurred. We did not know the amount until the negotiations were concluded, which I believe they were concluded probably sometime in June. That is a dedicated donation of $125,000. And there was a balance of funds at the Union County Performing Arts Center from Musicfest 2009, which was to be retained and dedicated to, 2010, which was to be used and dedicated to Musicfest 2011. So if you add those numbers up, that's where the $345,000 comes from. And in accordance with the corrective action plan, we have in fact requested from UPAC an accounting for any and all of those funds before there are any additional funds allocated, paid by the authority, by the county. That is what the resolution on the agenda addresses.
Thank you.
Senior Manager Cranford, I guess I'll speak quickly. You should apologize to Musicfest. Not one of you have apologized. Not one of you have apologized. How dare you throw a citizen out asking for accountability? The Union County Watchdog Association is going to have to observe as closely as private citizens can the goings-on at Musicfest, as well as place extensive Oprah requests afterwards to determine which, if any, of the prosecutor's recommendations you will follow. The event was last night, and county employees are still selling beer for George Devaney's Love, Hope, Strength Foundation, the same foundation that George Devaney was stashing cash for in this building, and the prosecutor found that there were no criminal charges involved in that. You released a statement that said, in part, the Office of the County Council will review and make recommendations relative to supplying employees or other services, conducting business on behalf of any charitable organization. The taxpayer should not still be footing the bill for George Devaney's nonprofit organization that has sent him, his family members, and friends on exotic trips, something that wasn't mentioned in the Union County Prosecutor's report. We are still paying for George Devaney. George Devaney is still involved with running Musicfest despite his resignation and his gross negligence of handling cash and overseeing past Musicfest. The county poorly executed Musicfest, according to the prosecutor's report, from the drafting of contracts to the accounting of monies was poorly executed by the County of Union. The use of public monies demands much more than it received. He recommended you resolve these issues of mismanagement and be more transparent while avoiding any appearance of misappropriation. I think you failed that tonight with answering your questions about the Union County Arts Center and what George Devaney's involvement in that is. Sources tell me that the prosecutor and his first assistant were at George Devaney's retirement party the other night. This is just 3 weeks after they released the findings of their alleged investigation and found that Devaney was mishandling cash, but they couldn't even follow a paper trail to ascertain the true cost of Musicfest. But no criminal charges were filed, as you were just bragging about, Chairwoman. There is some message you sent to county employees. That's some message you sent to county employees and vendors that evening. Put up or shut up. The law is ours, and we are above it. No apology has been offered to the public to date for the misdeeds and gross mismanagement of public funds as reported by the prosecutor. The public deserves an apology, and the Union County Watchdog Association deserves an additional apology from each of you for putting so much of our time and resources into bringing this to the public's attention. You are paid approximately $30,000 a year for your part-time position. We do this in our precious spare time, and I have been disrespected numerous times by George Devaney's and members of the Freeholder Board, asking and asking and asking and asking about Musicfest. I deserve an apology. I demand one. No citizen or group should have to spend hundreds of hours researching how their tax dollars are being spent on one project. We never did get answers from freeholders despite repeated verbal requests at public meetings over the years, asking for transparency, the same thing the prosecutor had to ask for. And accountability, the same thing the prosecutor had to ask for. Years and years and years, not just last year. Not one of you said, oh, Mrs. Renner, I will look into that. When someone comes here and asks you a fluff question, oh, you're all over that. You're all Mr. Charmings up there. When somebody comes and asks a hard question, just roll your eyes, don't answer. We still haven't been able to ascertain what these prior Musicfests have cost, and if you were sincere in your desire to change, you would be calling on the State Controller's Office, Matthew Baxter, to help you do this. In fact, you should be calling on the State Controller's Office to review all programs overseen by George Devaney. The floods, you know, the county emergency management workers did good work, and you're all ready to take full responsibility for that. You can talk about that for a half hour. I'm sure you're going to talk about it in your closing comments, as well as all the other positive things that are going on. You can't have one without the other. The buck stops with you. You were responsible for Musicfest. You were responsible for every dime, every dollar bill that went through this building. That was your responsibility, and you can't say you didn't know, because I told you and told you and told you for years and years and years, and you ignored it. You ignored it until the Union County prosecutor allegedly investigated it. Now you're trying to do something about it, and it's not enough. Again, I demand a sincere apology, and the prosecutor, and I want an apology from the governor's office too. I want an apology from the state attorney general's office. The prosecutor should have never been allowed to investigate his own people. He's your friend.
The last part is this Musicfest. I was there yesterday. The fair aspect, I couldn't see what the point of that was. Maybe it picked up when it got dark, but the rides weren't being done. There were a couple of guys who were drinking away their sorrows. I mean, but that's about it. The band played before 5 people, probably relatives. And tonight's probably not a lot better. This could be marketed better, and I don't think there's a real need for spending. Well, the prosecutor said it was 1.1 million. When you consider the ancillary cost, it's probably 1.5 million. You know, people working on it year round, that kind of stuff. And this is embarrassing in this environment. It's not that people need entertainment. I mean, they're not striving. There are more important things. There's a mortgage, college tuition, you can go down and down, just basic survival. They don't need to hear Blondie. Nobody needs to hear Blondie. So I'll end with that.